You know, in the 21st century, the very idea of a battlefield has changed. It's not just about physical ground anymore. So much of the conflict now happens in the shadows, through proxies, and, well, all across the digital world. We're living in a time where the first shot fired isn't a bullet, it's a headline. And the very first casualty, it's often the truth. So that brings us to this really explosive claim. It comes from a News 18 Urdu report, and they're citing Iranian military sources. The claim is this: Iran says it has killed 21 American soldiers. Now, if that's true, it's a huge escalation in a conflict that's been simmering for a long, long time. So today, we're going to break down that claim and the information war that erupted right alongside it. All right, so to really get a handle on this claim, we have to look at how it all supposedly went down. We need to trace the chain of events, the action and reaction that unfolded in one of the most tense parts of the world. So according to the sources we're looking at, this whole thing kicked off with a strike that's being blamed on Israel. The target? A really important Iranian oil depot, which was apparently destroyed. And the response, at least according to the Iranian side of the story, was fast. They say they launched a retaliatory strike, but they didn't aim it at Israel. They aimed it at Israel's most powerful ally, the United States. Now, the target they supposedly hit wasn't just some random outpost. We're talking about the absolute nerve center of American naval power in the entire Middle East. We're talking about the United States Fifth Fleet. The Fifth Fleet is headquartered in Bahrain, and from there, it's the command and control for every U.S. naval asset in the region. The report we're drawing from really frames it as America's single most significant military presence in this part of the world, right at the crossroads of global trade and politics. And when you look at the area they cover, it's just immense. We're talking 2.5 million square miles of water. That includes the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea, all of it. And within that huge domain, you'll find some of the most critical maritime choke points on the entire planet. So that begs the question, right? What is the actual mission of a force this powerful? And what kind of hardware are they working with to get the job done? Well, their job description is pretty clear-cut. First and foremost, they're there to secure vital shipping lanes for oil and gas, like the Strait of Hormuz. They also protect international commercial ships, run counterterrorism ops, and on top of all that, they lead something called the Combined Maritime Forces, which is this huge security coalition of more than 40 different countries. And to make all that happen, you're looking at a force of over 8,000 people, backed up by some seriously advanced military hardware. We're talking carrier strike groups, state-of-the-art warships, submarines, and a really sophisticated network of drones for surveillance. Now, the report we're looking at makes a really important point. This alleged attack isn't just some random isolated event. It's actually being presented as just the latest chapter in a long and often violent history of run-ins between Iranian forces and the U.S. Navy in the Gulf. And to give you some context, the source brings up a previous attack. This one dated February 28, 2026. In that incident, it's alleged that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, hit the same base with a mix of ballistic missiles and those Shahed 136 drones. And the reported damage was pretty serious. They supposedly took out key infrastructure like radar systems and communication gear. So you have this whole history of physical attacks that sets the stage for what we're talking about today. But here's where it gets really interesting. According to the source, this latest conflict went way beyond just missiles and drones. After the smoke cleared, a second front opened up, a battlefield of pure information where the main weapons weren't explosives, they were competing stories. And this is where the two stories just completely split apart. On one side, you have the Iranian claim, which is being pushed hard through their media channels. They're painting it as a massive victory, 21 U.S. soldiers killed. The goal there, to look strong and warn against any future attacks. But then you have the reported U.S. position, which tells a totally different story. They're saying the impact was minimal. The official U.S. count was only 3 American deaths in the entire region during that time, and they say the soldiers were safe in bunkers during the attack. For them, the goal is to keep things from escalating and control the political damage. This massive difference in the numbers leads to a really powerful accusation in the report. It basically alleges a deliberate cover-up by the U.S. And the quote is very direct. It says, to save face, America is hiding its losses. It cannot even salute the martyrdom of its own soldiers. Now, that word martyrdom is really important here. In the political language of the region, it's not just about death. It's about a noble sacrifice. So by using that word, the report isn't just saying the U.S. is hiding numbers. It's accusing America of dishonoring its own soldiers. turning a simple information tactic into a much deeper cultural and political jab. So, in the end, we're left with this haze of uncertainty, and you get the sense it was deliberately created by both sides. The actual truth of what happened gets lost in this thick fog of information warfare. And it really forces you to ask a pretty fundamental question about war today. When stories themselves become weapons, and the number of dead becomes a strategic tool, where exactly does the physical battlefield stop and the information battlefield take over?